Okay, stop what you're doing right now, because the tea I'm about to spill is scalding hot. Everyone's favorite Hollywood bromance? That hilarious back and forth between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. It was all fake. Yes, you heard that right. Behind those laughing interviews and playful social media jabs, sources say there's been a dark reality brewing for years. And now Hugh Jackman has reportedly had enough. After nearly a decade of putting on a friendly face, Jackman is apparently done pretending that Reynolds' behavior is just harmless fun. Multiple insiders claim that Hugh has witnessed Ryan terrorizing everyone from makeup artists to co-stars. And the stories coming out? They're absolutely shocking. But what finally pushed Hugh to his breaking point? And could this be the end of Ryan Reynolds' carefully crafted nice guy image? Especially with the Blake Lively controversy already causing waves? Let's dive into what might be Hollywood's most explosive friendship breakup in years. I've been digging into this story for weeks, and what I discovered about Ryan Reynolds' behavior behind closed doors is genuinely disturbing. Let's start with the most shocking revelation. The one that has even industry veterans gasping. According to multiple sources with direct knowledge of the situation, Ryan Reynolds doesn't just play a diva on screen. He's allegedly one in real life too. And his treatment of crew members? It crosses lines that most Hollywood stars wouldn't dare to cross. Let's get straight to the nastiest part of this whole situation, shall we? Ryan Reynolds apparently thinks he can fire people whenever they don't bow down to his every demand. According to a bombshell revelation from Fox News, Reynolds once threatened to end a makeup artist's entire career. And why? Because they weren't available for reshoots. The insider spilled that Ryan literally said, and I quote, "If you don't come back and do my makeup, you will never work in Hollywood again." This is, hands down, straight-up career blackmail. The poor makeup artist was literally out of the country, working on another project, you know, like professionals do, and Reynolds acted like they had personally insulted him, can you believe it, by having a life outside of serving him. And what's worse, studio executives were completely powerless to stop him. The source confirmed, straight up, that Fox executives were frustrated, visibly frustrated, but had no choice but to comply, because Reynolds had already seized full control of the movie. This is, without a doubt, the kind of power-hungry behavior that screams insecurity. Because, let's be real, a genuinely confident person doesn't need to threaten other people's livelihoods, not ever, to feel important. But this toxic pattern isn't new, not at all. It's been Ryan's MO for years, literally years. Hugh Jackman, who's had to work closely with Reynolds during Deadpool and Wolverine, has allegedly been dealing with this controlling behavior, this manipulation, throughout their professional relationship. While Hugh initially played along, you know, with the fake feud narrative for the cameras, sources close to him say he is completely done, absolutely done, with Reynolds' behind-the-scenes antics. One insider revealed, get this, that Jackman is set to be deposed in the ongoing legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, which has Reynolds, understandably, nervously looking over his shoulder. Hugh will be deposed if this goes to trial. There is no way, absolutely no way he cannot. This is huge, monumentally huge, because Hugh knows where all the bodies are buried. He's been around Ryan for years, day in and day out, and might soon be legally obligated to tell the truth, the whole truth about what he's seen. Reynolds' controlling behavior extends way beyond makeup artists. He's also rumored to have pushed out Tim Miller, the director of the original Deadpool movie that put Reynolds back on the map. And yet Miller didn't return for the sequel. Why? Because Ryan wanted complete creative control. As Miller himself later admitted, it became clear that Ryan wanted to be in control of the franchise. You can work that way as a director quite successfully, but I can't. Translation: Reynolds was such an impossible nightmare to work with that the director of the first film would rather walk away from a successful franchise than deal with Ryan's ego for another movie. That's not just a creative difference, that's a flashing red warning sign about someone's character. Here's where things get messy. We've established that Ryan now has full creative control of Deadpool, right? He can basically do and say whatever he wants. Well, fans have spotted something interesting about the nice character, the nicer version of Deadpool. Is this overreaching? You be the judge. But this is where Hugh Jackman gets dragged into the mess as Wolverine. He had to stand by while Reynolds used their movie as a personal vendetta platform. If the nice pool character was meant to mock Baldoni, then everyone on set knew it, so Hugh was forced to participate in what was essentially workplace bullying disguised as comedy. Sources close to Jackman say he was deeply uncomfortable with this, especially since he himself had no beef with Baldoni. But because Reynolds had seized full control of the movie, Hugh had no choice but to go along with it or risk being iced out himself. And if you think Reynolds only terrorizes people behind the camera, think again. His co-stars have been getting the same toxic treatment for years. Take Marina Baccarin, who played the female lead in the first Deadpool movie. Notice how she was basically sidelined in the sequel? That wasn't a coincidence. Instead of handling a creative difference like a professional, Reynolds decided to completely erase her from the promotional materials. Someone close to production spilled, "Ryan thinks she's overbearing, so she's basically grounded." This is straight-up retaliation and shows exactly how Reynolds treats people who dare to disagree with him. This isn't just petty, it's career-damaging for actors who depend on publicity. T.J. Miller, who played Weasel in Deadpool, actually came forward and spoke out about Reynolds' nasty behavior on set. And he did not mince words. He said Ryan was genuinely mean to him, and not in a joking way. I think after he got super famous from the first Deadpool, things kind of changed, Miller revealed. When asked if he would work with Reynolds again, "No, I would not work with him." Miller described a particularly humiliating incident where Ryan belittled him in front of the entire crew. Making it crystal clear, TJ was just a side character and not important. He was like, "You know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie." This is classic bullying behavior. Reynolds uses his position of power to put others down and make them feel small. And for what? To feed his own ego? To assert dominance? Either way, it's super toxic. Hugh Jackman probably witnessed this pattern of behavior firsthand. And while he initially remained quiet about it publicly, sources say he's been increasingly uncomfortable with how Reynolds treats their colleagues. The fact that Hugh maintains relationships with many industry professionals while Reynolds keeps burning bridges. That speaks volumes. Speaking of burned bridges, let's talk about Jake Gyllenhaal, another former best friend who apparently can't stand Ryan Reynolds anymore. These two used to be inseparable, doing interviews together and acting like they were the best of buddies. But something dramatic happened, and now Jake won't even talk about Ryan. During a recent interview where he was asked about Reynolds, Gyllenhaal acted icing cold. And when pressed further about their friendship, Jake shut it down completely. This is not normal behavior between friends, or even ex-friends. The situation probably stems from their time working together on the 2017 film Life. After that project, their friendship mysteriously disintegrated. Many believe it's because Jake saw Ryan's true colors during filming and decided he wanted nothing to do with him. Another actress from that same movie, Rebecca Ferguson, has spoken about having a terrible experience with an unnamed co-star, someone who was insecure and angry, and all signs point to Reynolds. "I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star," Ferguson revealed. And this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out. The situation got so bad that Ferguson refused to even act with this person anymore. This person would literally look at me in front of the whole crew and say, "You call yourself an actor? This is what I have to work with? What is this?" And I would cry walking off set. But then she finally stood up for herself. The next day, I walked on and said, "You get off my set. You can F off. I'm going to work towards a tennis ball. I never want to see you again." While Ferguson never named names, the timeline and cast list make it pretty obvious who she was talking about. And Hugh Jackman, having worked extensively with Reynolds, has likely witnessed similar behavior firsthand. Remember that cringy promotional skit for It Ends With Us? The one that had nothing to do with the actual movie? Hugh was roped into that mess, forced to play along with Reynolds' mean-spirited mockery of Baldoni. In the clip, Hugh delivered lines that were clearly meant to bully Baldoni. This put Hugh in an extremely uncomfortable position. He was essentially being used as a weapon in Reynolds' personal vendetta against Baldoni. All while a movie about domestic abuse was being overshadowed by childish Hollywood drama. To make matters worse, Hugh was also pressured to attend the It Ends With Us premiere, a movie he had nothing to do with, just to show support for Reynolds and Lively. And while this was happening, Baldoni was reportedly being kept in the basement, forced to arrive early to avoid interaction with the Reynolds-Lively camp. Hugh was unwittingly made complicit in this power play, and sources say he deeply regrets his involvement. This brings us to the straw that broke the camel's back. Hugh just learned he might be deposed in the legal battle. This puts Hugh in an impossible position. Either he tells the truth about Reynolds' behavior and publicly ends their friendship, or he lies under oath to protect Ryan. Obviously, neither option is appealing, and Hugh is reportedly furious that Reynolds' actions have put him in this situation. What's become increasingly clear, crystal clear, is that the charming, funny Ryan Reynolds we see in interviews is just a carefully crafted persona, nothing more. Behind the scenes, he's reportedly insecure, deeply controlling, and downright vindictive. Even his ex-wife, Scarlett Johansson, has hinted at this. While she's always been classy, super classy, about their split, she has described him, in her own words, as passive-aggressively jealous. His other ex, Alanis Morissette, had similar things to say. After their breakup, she released an entire album. Can you imagine? Inspired by their relationship, with the lyrics to her song, You Oughta Know, being particularly, unmistakably telling. Notice a pattern? The word insecure keeps coming up from people who know Reynolds intimately, and that insecurity manifests as controlling behavior and bullying. Reynolds seems to target people who might overshadow him. His marriage to Scarlett Johansson apparently fell apart as her career was skyrocketing, and he quickly moved on to Blake Lively, who at the time was still establishing herself after Gossip Girl. Hence, she wasn't really a threat to him and his ego. This all comes at a particularly bad time, like the worst possible time, for Ryan, as his wife, Blake Lively, is already embroiled in her own PR nightmare with the Baldoni lawsuit. What's interesting, what's really fascinating, is that both Blake and Ryan are facing similar accusations: being controlling, difficult to work with, and manipulative behind the scenes, all while maintaining those perfect public images. As one insider put it, and I love this quote, "They kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle, but guess what? The genie does not, absolutely does not, want to go back in the bottle." The couple's carefully curated image, this whole fantasy they've created as Hollywood's perfect couple, is crumbling, literally falling apart on multiple fronts. Hugh Jackman, meanwhile, is moving on with his life following his separation from his wife of 27 years. He's been dating his Broadway co-star Sutton Foster, though some have questioned whether this relationship is genuine or another Hollywood PR move. What's crystal clear is that Hugh is no longer interested in playing along with Reynolds' games. The bromance that once delighted fans has revealed itself to be toxic and one-sided. With Hugh finally seeing Ryan for who he really is, it looks like, just maybe, Ryan Reynolds' days of bullying coworkers and controlling sets might finally, at long last, be coming to an end. With Hugh Jackman potentially spilling the tea, all the tea, under oath. And more co-stars speaking out, one by one, about their negative experiences. The nice guy facade is crumbling fast, like sand between fingers. The question isn't, not anymore, if these revelations will damage Reynolds' career, but how badly, how devastatingly, and whether Hollywood will ever, in a million years, view him the same way again. So what do you think? Are you Team Hugh or Team Ryan? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more Hollywood tea. This drama is far from over, and we'll be here with all the updates.